Welcome back, everyone. We hope you enjoyed your networking break. We have more to look forward to today, Jed.
And I'm definitely looking forward to all those.
Exactly. For our next speakers, we will be joined by a mother and son power tandem who will share their thoughts on empowering future generations by raising financially savvy children.
Everyone, please join us in welcoming on stage Ms. Rose Fausto, author and FinEd advocate, along with Mr. Enrique Fausto, Chief Financial Architect and Director of IFE Management Advisors Incorporated. Let's give them a warm round of applause, please.
Thank you.
Hello,
Good
hello.
morning, everyone.
Morning, morning.
Are you still energized for another hour with us? Yes. So my name is Rose Fausto. I'm obviously the mom of this mom and son tandem.
Mukha ba magkapatid? Pwede ba? Pwede bang kapatid?
I wasn't fishing for that. But thanks, honey.
Hindi yun scripted. Hindi yun scripted.
Hindi scripted yun. Anyway, every November, I really look forward to this event, no? The FinEd Stakeholders Congress. And why is that? Because this has been my life's work. And you know, I am really very excited right now, not only because we are back to face, but because I have here one of my 3 sons. And do you know that saying that the proof of the pudding is in the eating? Do you know that? So that will be put to test today. I've been talking about financial education, raising children to have high FQ in my talks, in my workshops. I even teach it as a course in Ateneo. It's called Understanding Money Behavior through Behavioral Science. And maybe you are wondering, how am I able to apply all these in my own life? So, without further ado, I'd like to ask you to give a warm welcome to one of my puddings, Enrique Fausto.
Thank you, thank you. So, hi, my name is Pudding. No, I'm just kidding. For today, allow me to share with you how the flow of this discussion is going to be. I think it's pretty interesting that we have a parent-child kind of thing going on. No? So, to make the most out of our time, it'll be split up into 3 different segments. No? First off, we'll have FQ Mom's talk, where she'll lay out all of these lessons that were being taught to us as kids. And then I'll come in to tell you how much they worked and didn't work. No, I'm just kidding. How much I like or dreaded some of these lessons, but were actually applied in my life. And I'm also really excited for the end, wherein we'll be talking about it together, in terms of what are the questions that you may have that we were able to essentially apply in our lives. And hopefully it can help you in what you're doing today. No? So without further ado, allow me to sit back, relax, and allow FQ Mom to take the stage. So please give another warm round of applause for Rose Fausto or FQ Mom.
Thank you, honey. I'll see you later. All right. So here I am. So this is a few things about me. I am a behavioral economist. So behavioral economics is essentially the fusion of traditional economics, that which always assumes that we are rational being, making the best decisions, maximizing utility at the lowest possible cost. And together with that is psychology, which really talks about what really happens, how we really are. And I talk about it as we are like 2 people. One is our rational side, our makatwirang mak side, and our emotional emong side. And I'm also a board member of the Ateneo Center for Economic Research and Development. And this is actually chaired by our former BSP governor, Governor Saite Tanco, the very decorated governor of BSP. So anyway, how do we empower children to become financially savvy? And when I talk about financially savvy, this is not really about knowing all the highfalutin finance jargon, really. It's more of having a really healthy relationship with money, knowing what the role of money is in your life, and making sure that you're using it as a tool for you to fulfill your core values. So, do you agree with me on that? Yeah. Can I get an applause to see if you're agreeing? That one I really fished for. All right. Let's have a show of hands here. I just want to have a feel of the audience, no? How many among you are parents? Oh, that's a good number. How about not parents, but are involved in raising children in the financial behavior formation of children? Stakeholders, probably. How many are teachers? Okay, so there you go. What I'm going to do now is to lay out 10 steps that my husband Marvin and I did to raise our children. And this is really FQ, I call this FQ, financial quotient. Your ability to make sound decisions and actions with regard to your personal finances. I think I'm going to stay a little bit on the side so that you can see the screen, no? So it's not enough to know, but you should be able to apply it in your actual behavior. In other words, FQ is the IQ and EQ of handling money. Okay? So, I was able to develop a test, and thank you to BSP for the data that they shared with me during the time of the late Governor Nesting Espinilla. I was able to develop this, and it has two main components, the knowledge portion and the behavior portion. And if for those who would like to take this, it's free online. Just search FQ test. And if you want to do it old school style, there's also a print copy in the book. And if you want to do it YouTube style, there also is a YouTube version. And it already has timer and a little bit of explanation for all the items involved. Now, let's get to it. This is our family. As you can see, I'm the only Rose. I have 3 sons. Martin, our oldest, Enrique, the one you saw on stage, and Anton. And here they are now. Naglakihan na sila. Yeah. And the steps that we took are the following. Are you ready for them? Okay. So step 1, open a bank account as soon as they are born. That's what we did. And anyway, there are gifts, cash gifts, ang paos, etc. And that's where we put all their money. There was no commingling of funds right from the very start. And what does this do? When your children start asking about money, you already have something to show them, di ba? Learning is always a lot better remembered when there are already concrete things to talk about. So that's what I propose that you do. And if you haven't, when they were just born, the next best time to do it is now. Now let's go to the second step. Be clear about needs and wants. By way of definition, diba, needs are the things that we cannot live without, and wants are the things that we can live without but are nice to have. Very simple when it comes to theoretical definition. But when it comes to the actual application, it's really difficult. And it is different from one family to another. Yes, sir, you're nodding and you're agreeing with me. So you have to be very aware of what your family values are so that you can now categorize which are the needs and which are the wants. So if you really value education, then maybe you have to really be preparing for that once your children are born. Clear about needs and wants. Next is to have open and healthy communications about money. Money should not be left as the elephant in the room, di ba? Usually, when we talk about money, we are accused of, uy, pamilya yan, hindi dapat nagbibilangan. Does that sound familiar? Yeah. So, and also, regarding the way you would talk to your children about money, let's say you are not in an ideal situation at the moment. Let's say medyo hirap, you're having financial difficulties. So how do you approach this? When you talk to your children about it, just take out some of the melodrama in it. Just discuss it as it is. And I think the most important thing is to make them feel that this is a temporary situation. In fact, you can even invite them, challenge them to join you and create a project out of it. How do we make our family have a better financial condition? And this could be in simple terms such as switch off the light when you're not using it, turn off the faucet when you're not using it, be very mindful of your expenses. Okay? So have open and healthy communications. I was just lucky that even my husband is in the finance industry. He's the founding president of the Fund Managers Association. So my children over dinner would hear us talk about money, investments. However, you may think that good for you, you're both in the finance industry. But you know, the more closely I take a look at their growing up years, the more I am convinced that you do not have to be in the finance industry to be able to raise your children to have high FQ, or financial quotient. And why is that? Because this is not just like the typical skill. This is really a value system. And values are better caught than taught. You know, our children will not do what we tell them to do. They will do what they see us do. Do you agree with that? Yeah, so, oh, thank you very much, Rochelle. So when we go to step 4, oops, there is no step 4. Oh, there it is. It's not just in my código. Okay, sorry. So step 4 is include books about money during bedtime. To the parents with young children, di ba, the bedtime stories, these are really very important because this will now form part of their childhood memory. And when you include something that has to do with money, you're also able to impart your own values about money. Next, step 5 is to teach them the 3 basic laws of money. Who is familiar with that classic written in 1926 by George Samuel Clayson, The Richest Man in Babylon? Who's familiar with that? So years ago when I read that, I was inspired to rewrite it, to retell the story in a children's story and activity book. And I simplified them into 3 basic laws. So I'd like us to go through them one by one. The first law is to pay yourself first. I'm sure you've heard this all the time. And this just means that you are shifting the mindset when it comes to savings. Because normally when we talk about savings, what comes to mind is that we're depriving ourselves, right? But the reality is we are not depriving ourselves, but we are in fact prioritizing ourselves, specifically our future selves. And so what do you do with this? You just have to automate saving. There is no other way. You have to make it simpler and easier for you and for your children. And what we did with our children is we made them already observe this when we started giving them allowance in grade 1. So the second basic law of money is to get only into a business that you understand and to seek advice only from competent people. So while they are growing up, you have to be very aware of what their gifts are. Saan ba sila magaling? Instead of parents dictating on what your children should be taking up when they enter college, what business or profession should they be getting into, just help them really articulate what their gifts are. Because the reality is this, we parents, we really wouldn't know what profession, what business will be lucrative by the time our children get into the workforce, right? A lot of the high-paying jobs now did not exist when we were in college. So I think it is better that we are just on the supporting side so that we don't get in the way. And of course, the second part of the second law is to seek advice only from competent people. We should be very careful with the people that we are following, especially online, so that we do not get scammed. And I'd like to always borrow the philosophy of the Japanese when talking about the second basic law. And this is the ikigai. Anyone familiar with this? The ikigai is the intersection of these 4 things. That which you love, that which you are good at, syempre, even if you love playing basketball, but if you're only 5 foot tall, you cannot be a good basketball player. And that's the third, that which you can get paid for, and that which the world needs from you. And your ikigai is really your point of success for you and your children. Now, let's go to the third basic law of money, which is to make your gold work for you, make an army of golden slaves before you buy luxury. This is the basic law that separates those who just get by from those who are able to accumulate considerable wealth. And it talks about delaying gratification, which is a really important skill to teach our children in the many aspects of life. And I do have, so if you're going to ask me, so when is the right time to enjoy luxury? I have a simple guideline for you to remember when it comes to enjoying luxury. Can we read this all together? Buy luxury only if you can afford to buy 10 pieces of it. Medyo mabagsik, but why 10 pieces naman? Ang grabe ka naman. So that it's easy to remember, just add 1 0. And by doing that, you are able to really create a good safety net. Anyway, it's luxury. And luxuries are better enjoyed when they are delayed. And when you're not kabado, that you're depleting the college education fund of your children. Now, step 6 is to go beyond savings. Wow your children with the magic of compounding. You know, this is what I did when they were still in grade school. I prepared an Excel file and showed them the magic of compounding. So with their very little allowance was really on the low side because they already had baon naman, ano. I showed them an Excel file. And I said, do you know that if you're able to do this religiously, every allowance, every gift that you receive and invest it, you can actually be a millionaire in no time. So they were floored, and it became easier for them, easier to entice them to keep on saving. This actually is available in fqmom.com. You can download this Excel file and put in your children's or your own parameters, numbers into it. Step 7 is to warn them of the negative flip side of compounding. So there's a positive side of compounding, the magic of compounding, such that when you invest, you just keep on reinvesting and just adding to it, and it will snowball into a large amount in no time. But there's also a bad side to it. And I think you have to really teach them about debt, no? Because, ano ni sabi ni Einstein, the magic of compounding, he who knows it, earns it, he who does not, pays it. So we'd like to be all in the earning side, right? And you have to be very careful because of the proliferation of robo-investing. It is so much easier to borrow than to invest, right? So be careful with this. Step 7 is to teach them to prepare balance sheet. Again, may sound mabagsik, too much for some parents, but especially those who were traumatized by their accounting 101. But this is not a very complex debit-credit thing. No? It's just a simple listing of their assets. What are the current ones, their deposits, their stock investments, their fixed income investments, and hopefully no debts yet. So the right side of their balance sheet should all be equity. I think Enrique might be mentioning something about that later. So step 9, summer jobs. So to the parents there, especially during pre-pandemic days, during summer, we are so focused on enrolling our children into all sorts of summer activities. Why don't you challenge them to take a summer job or a summer earning activity? And we've done this. You know what my husband and I did was that we didn't enroll our children in academic summer courses anymore. We wanted their cerebral brain to take a rest. So it was more of other activity skills, basketball, taekwondo, etc. But as they were growing up, we also introduced the earning activities. And they had a lot of fun. One time, our oldest, he became a waiter at Teriyaki Boy. And it was a really positive experience. Not only because he earned from it, but because he learned how to be on the other side of the fence, which is service provider. To be a service provider. You know, after that, he would always remind me when we're in restaurants, Ma, wag ka muna mag-follow up. You just ordered. Wait a little while. Wait a few minutes before you follow up. So it is also character building. And then they had this really nice, because all my sons are good dancers. And syempre, from the mom, they're great dancers. You can check out the YouTube, Fausto Brothers. When they were younger, they would compete, they would win here and abroad. Anyway, since they're all good dancers, one summer job was for them to teach dancing. And they were able to earn from the fees, of course, and also they produced a recital concert for that. Okay, so again, you connect this with the gift of your children, the ikigai, so that you can be practicing what they will be doing before they even graduate from college. Now, for my final step, it is to cut their financial umbilical cord once they graduate from college. If I say this, biglang natataranta rin yung mga nanay. But you know what? They're lucky already that you paid for their college education. And it is now time to end that. You know, the umbilical cord, to the moms out there, diba? That's how we transmitted the sustenance from the mother to the fetus. And then, all the toxins back to the mother. If we do not cut the financial umbilical cord, that will also happen to us. It will become a toxic relationship. And when you do cut, it is also an incentive for your children, especially those of well-off families, to start earning. Because you know, sometimes what happens is, I still want to rest. Just because the allowance that they receive from mom and dad is actually higher than the starting salary that they could get with no experience whatsoever, right? So, cut their financial umbilical cord once they graduate from college. So, those are the 10 steps that I laid out for you. And at this point, I'd like to call on Enrique Fausto to be sharing his stories about how these steps affected him.
And how much the cutting hurt then.
Okay.
All right, so thanks, Ma. So, good morning again to everyone. Hi, my name is Enrique, and I'm here to kind of put these steps into actual practice from someone who was learning these things growing up. And how can I make sure that this can be something that's helpful for everyone here? You know? So one of the things I always try to do whenever I try to learn something new from someone is know a little bit about their background. Because that gives me context in figuring out, okay, that's why he said this. That's why he has these kinds of learnings. So allow me now to just quickly share a little bit about myself so you know where I'm coming from. So besides being the son of FQ Mom, I actually studied before in Xavier School, a Filipino-Chinese school, graduated and went to Ateneo de Manila University with a degree in BS Management Engineering. I thought I was smart enough. Apparently, it was very hard. So a lot of these people here, especially the BSB guys, I know you're all very smart and you have to have gotten all of those educational achievements to be where you are today. And out of college, my first job was in Union Bank as a management trainee because I wanted to delay the decision and just kind of figure out what do I want to do in this finance world. And I ended up in the Treasury Department dealing with fixed income or bonds. No? But a little over a year into that, my internship, which was Deutsche Regis, or essentially my first love, stocks, called out. There was an opening to be an analyst. I applied, I got it, and I was able to really enjoy my stay there for a little over 4 years. And I was lucky that they were generous enough to have me as their scholar as I took up my CFA, or Chartered Financial Analyst designation, while I was there. And now, I'm running my own business within IFE, which provides what we call financial architecture, which I'll tell you a little bit more about later. No? So this is me. That's a little bit about me. But I think today, the most important thing is for me to be able to help all of you answer this question. No? How do I apply these FQ lessons in my life, in my kids' life, in my students' lives, and in my program beneficiaries? And one of the ways that I found that really helps me in terms of understanding, learning, and really imbibing these lessons is by simplifying it. And for this segment of the talk, the easiest way to remember everything is simply by being able to learn how to drive your car. So, what do I mean by driving your car in terms of finances? The C here stands for committing to a savings rate. That's the C. The A would be automating your investment plan. And last would be reviewing and rewarding yourself. So it's very simple. I try my best to insert the stories that I think help me really imbibe this and live out each of these steps. No? So my mom already mentioned it earlier. The first step, committing to a savings rate, or essentially having the habit to save, really started out as we were kids. So imagine, grade 1, no? Grade 1, little kids, first time to get an allowance. My mom said, okay, you guys have baon naman eh, so you have food already. This is just for fun stuff, no? So she gave us a 100 pesos per week allowance, because in Xavier then, the maximum that a kid could hold in their wallet was 100 pesos. No? And what she did was, she told us, okay, make it a point na from the start, default na. Save at least 20%. So we're like, okay, sige, we'll commit. Let's do it. It's 20%, but I get 100 pesos. Yay. No? And I remember when we first got that, it was a bit awkward to have to save. Because I mean, that's why you gave me the money, di ba ma? So I can spend it. No, she said, no, just try it out. Get into the habit of it. Try it out. And I remember whenever people ask me, how did you get into this whole habit? I just remind them, and it's something my mom would always say, think of the first time you were brushing your teeth. So that's me. I'm the shorter one there. That's my older brother. And you can see how difficult it was for me to brush my teeth with all of the kind of toothpaste all around. And if you remember the first time you brush your teeth, and you can try later, brush your teeth with your other hand, it will be very awkward. But over time, as we kept doing it, we got used to it, and it's now as simple as brushing your teeth. Saving is just a part of it. No? And for us, what really helped was that not only did we have to do the thing, we actually had to log and be accountable to the thing. So here's a little picture. This is my younger brother's actually little notebook, no? Which she would actually ask us to show her. How much were you able to save this week? Something you can try out with your kids. So you can see there, 400 peso balance plus 100 peso savings, 500 peso balance. So that simple, just logging, no, and being able to show them, oh, I'm just able to earn more, no, actually really helped. And for me, no, when I was in Xavier, I'd initially be a bit jealous of my friends who would get like 100 pesos a day and ako per week. But I remember the next week, I'd ask him, how much do you have? Oh, I just have 100 kasi naubos ko na eh. So I said, I saved 20 pesos last week. I'm richer than you. even if I had a much smaller allowance. Thanks. So it was in doing these things that allowed me to get into the habit. And it actually became very clear for me when there's something very emotional about it. There was this one time, I can't forget this, my older brother, Martin, and I were asking my mom, could we buy the new Game Boy Color? And I wanted the Pokemon Silver version. She'd always ask, anong educational value niyan? Anong educational value niyan? Wala eh. Wala kaming panalo eh. We couldn't beat them in that argument. So she challenged us, what if you just save up for it? So my older brother and I did it. And over the weeks, months, and years, the joke lang, it just felt like years, we saved up. And I remember the day we went to, I think it's SM Mega Mall, Toy Kingdom, with our like treasure chests. And literally put down 1 peso coin, 5 peso coin, 10 peso bills. And buti lang, the cashier was very nice. And we were finally able to come home with our Game Boy Color Pokemon Silver version. And, thanks. That was a big moment for the young grade schooler kid. And I can't forget this because that was the moment that I felt empowered. Wow, if my mom says, anong educational value niyan? And my answer is wala. I had an answer. I could just save up for it myself. And it was a great feeling as a kid growing up. I actually had control over buying what I want. So that was the first one. Coming into a savings rate, getting into that habit. And we were able to level it up when the second lesson came in, which is automating your investment plan. And the reason why we're talking about automating, and my mom would always say this in her articles, is because automation is key because as you know, our brains have two sides to it. There's the rational or prefrontal cortex side, and there's the emotional side, which we call the limbic system. If I were just to ask the audience here, when it comes to money decisions, who here thinks that it's the rational that wins? Can you raise your hands here? Anyone thinks it's rational? Okay, how about the emotional side? Who thinks the emotional side wins? Okay, we see a few, others are still thinking about it. You guys are right, it's actually the emotional side because of this, what you call knowledge behavior gap. We do know we should save, we do know we should invest, we should diet, exercise, etc. But it becomes so difficult. No? So what you want to do is to automate it, no? So that your emotions will actually not hinder you from saving by having to think every time, do I save? How much do I save? But actually, you use your emotions with you, which is, I automated it na eh, nakakatamad na to change. Naka-automate na siya, 10K a month lumalabas eh, so sige, pabayaan ko na siya. To allow you to do the thing that you know you should be doing anyway. And what was interesting was that from my perspective, if you remember this image earlier about that Excel file, I was a grade school kid and I asked my mom about it. And parang, what's this all for about the saving, investing? Is it really gonna make a dent? Because it's 20 pesos lang per week. So she's like, okay, come here. She ran through the numbers. And I can't forget this eh. When she showed me like, okay, per year, ganyan. And when it got to a point where I was, before I hit 21, no? I remember asking her, wait lang, ma, seryoso ba to? I can be a millionaire even before I graduate? And that was a crazy idea. No? 6 zeros to my name when I didn't even earn any salary yet. That was a huge emotional experience for me that I feel like if you can recreate these types of emotional wows to your kids growing up, it will really stick. Because right now I still remember it. So then I wanted to get into it more. I tried my best to learn more about it, know the different options. No? So I think most of you already know this, but just to put it into 3 simple buckets, the short-term investments would be savings account, time deposit, money market funds. And then if you want to earn a little bit more, you get into the bond market, no? Which right now you can actually buy online. And then stocks into business. No? But I think the thing that's very important, no, as you teach these kinds of instruments and learn more about it, is to remember this, cardinal law in finance, which is, if you want a higher return, essentially you'll need to take on higher risk. No? And I had a lot of experiences growing up wherein the stakes were very small and it was easy for me to lose and still pick myself back up again. So I learned about these investments, and as my mom mentioned earlier, I wanted to supercharge my savings. So I also tried during the summer breaks where there was no allowance to earn some income on the side. So I tried teaching guitar because I learned a little bit of playing guitar. I also, with my younger brother, taught dance, and we even had 2 classes. I remember 9 teens, 3 like kids. MWF, TTHS, ubos ang summer. No? But it taught me the difficulty of earning money, but also the joy that comes from being able to teach something that you are fairly familiar with. And it was us being able to use what we know into earning money. But I think the thing that really stuck with me up to this day was shortly after college, I had this new business opportunity. A friend of mine, a really good friend of mine, he was someone I actually had a project, school project and competition with. So I knew him very well. He had good work ethic. We were both in the finance industry. Told me, "Uy, Enrique, tara, invest with me in this laundry business." Right? So he was telling me it's really great. You can get your returns back in less than a year. I was like, wow, that's so much better than the stock market returns. No? Baka this is it, diba? This is gonna get me out and be able to enjoy my life, right? And then I was very excited. I got into it. It was the single largest, one-time investment I ever made, which is into this laundry shop. And as the months went by, I realized, wait lang, I don't even do my own laundry. I asked mama to prepare it for me. And when I asked my friend, wait lang, di ba we paid franchise fees? Pero yung brand naman, di naman siya sikat eh. There was no franchise to purchase. And as I went through the numbers, I realized that my friend, though, good intention, wasn't the best in like logging down all of the expenses, the numbers. And then I get a call from his girlfriend then, who tells me a different story, and he's telling me a different story, and it got really, really messy. And in my hopes and in my excitement of earning money, that's when I realized this is actually the worst investment I ever made. No? And lucky for me, since we were friends, he was kind enough to kind of let me be whole, no? But that was a little over a year where the cash was kind of just wasted, and I almost lost everything. And it's only after that experience that I realized, okay, yep, my mom said, second basic law of money, get into a business you understand. I didn't understand this. Seek advice from competent people. He was a finance guy, not a laundry guy. So it was these experiences that kind of helped in this investment journey for me. So then I wanted to go back into what I knew and to figure out, okay, if that return actually meant that there was so much risk, what's like a right amount of return and risk anyway? So I have here the chart which gives the 20 years of performance from the Philippine stock market, and the blue line on the top, a bond fund in particular, the orange line, and then the gray line on the bottom, which is a money market fund. So essentially you're investing in treasury bills, time deposits, and the like. If I had 100,000 pesos, I wanted to kind of play it out for myself and even for my friends then who were asking me about it. How much would I have in each of these different investments? No? For the money market fund, after 20 years, no, it would be about 190,000 pesos or about 3.3%. So, okay, gets. If I want safe stuff, somewhere around there. Second, if I wanted to invest in bonds that gave me a little bit more risk, and you can see here, the line, there are times where it goes down rin. No? The returns get a little bit better, 4 to 5%. So how about for the stock market? You can see here that there are instances where there's a global financial crisis. I'm not sure if you can see it here, that drop in 07, 08, as well as COVID. That's a 40% drop there from COVID. And because you're able to kind of ride that ride, you're able to get about 640,000 or 9.8% average annual return after taxes and fees for this investment. So this one gave me a handle of, okay, if my friend is asking me to invest in something and it's probably more than these 10% returns, there's probably way more risk that's going into it. So now I learned that, okay, stocks provide the highest returns, long term, but are they the best investment for everything? So growing up, I actually had, I think, 90% of all my savings were just in stocks. But over time, I realized that, are they really the best for everything? Not necessarily. And why is that? Around this time, I don't know if you see the red arrow there, sometime in 2020, I already had a long-time girlfriend. I was thinking about buying an engagement ring, proposing to her. And I remember what she wanted was very specific. 1 carat, round cut, diamond ring with nice clarity, color, etc., etc. And I wanted to be able to give that to her. The problem is, majority of my wealth was there. Took a 40% dip. So does that mean, okay, since 40% down yung market and my investments, does that mean that this, I don't know if you guys see it now, move here na lang. Does that mean that this 1 carat diamond ring will have to become 40% smaller? No? And see, sorry, down your market, no? Syempre hindi, no? And that's the beauty of this third step, which is being able to review and reward myself along the way. And when I say review, we go back to what my mom mentioned earlier, the balance sheet, no? Which is simply just a list, which started out as a little notebook and later on became just a full list on an Excel file. And it was very helpful because since I had this list, I then knew that not all of my money could be in the stock market. There had to be some that are in different investments that will still be okay even if the market is down. And that's when I learned the benefits of diversifying. And lucky for me, I made sure that with these investments, my ring fund, which I was preparing for even before the time I needed to buy, was actually in the bond market. So the ring fund was safe. Whew! I don't know how that conversation with my wife go if it was much smaller. So that was when I was able to learn about the beauties of having different investments, of reviewing, what I already had, as much as possible quarterly, and be able to reward myself by being able to reward my wife with her dream engagement ring. And thanks to this, I was able to buy her that wedding ring. So this is my, thank you. So this is my beautiful girlfriend turned fiance. So that's the ring. It was a really great occasion. That was back in 2021. So having this car, coming to a savings rate, automating investment plan, reviewing, rewarding myself, the question then becomes for you guys now, is how far has this car taken me, and how far can this car take you, or take your kids, or your students? So at this point, I'm proud to say I was able to buy that engagement ring. In the process, start a business, which was very scary. From someone who was used to getting a salary, I was able to launch this business because I had emergency funds, I had my investments already to cover for me just in case. And now, we're at a point wherein we were able to help over 100 different clients, millennials, also fix their finances and aim towards their goals. And beyond just helping them one-on-one with actual investments, financial planning, we're also able to spread the word out to essentially to all Filipinos. And I'm really excited to share with everyone here that people are interested in this finance stuff. Look, imagine, it's in IG, we're at IFE Management. It's over 46,000 followers. On TikTok, which was a crazy surprise, over 70 plus, close to 80,000 followers. Thank you. People want to hear this stuff. All that they need is someone who could teach it to them in an easy to understand way, in a relatable way. And just as a fun fact, just to give you a sense of what are they watching, it's serious stuff. Maharlika Wealth Fund, Confidential Fund, got over 600,000 views. And I just need to share this for the BSP people here. Our #1 most viewed unscripted video is this one in the middle with 625,000 views. And you know what the topic and the question was from a commenter? Bakit ang laki ng sahod ng mga BSP officials? Sorry, don't kick me out. Don't kick me out of the stage, please. But essentially, you can check out the video if you want to see. But just in a nutshell, my answer was, you guys run a well-tight ship. You are able to handle your investments well. You have your income. You can pay your people well. And even remit income back to the government. That's why they're paid that well. So I was able to launch a business, pay for an engagement ring, and with deep pride, I can say that a year after, I was able to then pay for myself, without having to ask for help from parents, my dream wedding last year. So this is in Silang Cavite, and we had our reception in Antonio's in Tagaytay. And we were able to enjoy it with our family, with our friends. And it was a little scary to think about because the suppliers are expensive. But I'm happy that with that system, with that car, I was able to achieve it. So now, this car, this is last year, has taken a new direction, has brought me into a new road, which I'm actually pretty excited to share with all of you here today. A few months ago, my wife and I found out that we're actually pregnant. We're due for a baby girl in 2 months. It's in January. So iba na yung kwento, after 2 months. And I remember the moment when we found out, it was a mix of two feelings. There's excitement, because I've always wanted to be a dad, and fear. I was really scared. Could I live up to the really high standards of saying an FQ mom and FQ dad? Could I actually afford to financially support my wife and future daughter, financially speaking? And I can take comfort in the fact that because I had these lessons growing up, because I have this car, because I was able to not only learn the lessons, but use my experiences to really make it my own, I'm really, really excited that, you know what? Kaya naman pala. They were able to do it. I think I can do it too. And this time, I'm really excited because I'll have the chance to then pass the baton and teach my baby girl in the future how to be financially savvy and these money and life lessons. So I hope you're able to come home today with your own lessons so that you too and all of you here are in that position to teach, to pass on these lessons to the next generation, whether it's your kids, your siblings, your friends, and your students. So with that, thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Thank you so much, Enrique. Congratulations on the
Thanks.
lovely update. So while we are setting up, we have so much to discuss for our Q&A. So we invite our audience members. Please feel free to approach the microphones at the aisles if you have any questions.
Yes, very, very good discussion. You know,
We also invite Miss Rose back on stage.
personally, I want to use that car and hope it will bring me to my preferred destination.
Yeah.
I really like that.
And the thing we noticed also about your presentation, Enrique, when people cheered for the ring, it wasn't so much because of the cut or the clarity, right, or the carrot. It's the brilliance of what you did to get there.
Yeah, it's
And
the process.
so,
the process.
I know it's the process. That's really the rewarding part. Please, we invite both of you to please occupy our middle seats. And we begin our Q&A. We are ready for your questions. So for those of you who have especially we have parents in the audience as well, right? Or those who are thinking of becoming an audience. In fact, Enrique, now a parent himself, who may just be we may just welcome the third Fausto we will be inviting to the expo.
The first girl in the family, I mean, aside from me, because we're having a baby girl.
Double congratulations. How about a
Congratulations
big
to the
hand?
family.
Yeah,
Miss
FQ
Rose is
Lola.
really excited. Yeah. Wonderful. So any questions so far from the audience? So we have some time, but we understand sometimes when you have a presentation that's so packed with value, sometimes you want to marinate in your thoughts a little bit, right? I think Attorney Jed, we were marinating our thoughts a little bit also. So do you have a question for our
Yes, actually,
guests?
I do have a question.
Father to father na to?
Yeah, from one father to another.
Oh, wow, exciting.
What are your thoughts or lessons learned, as well as challenges that you faced in your utilization of social media platforms in sharing relevant financial literacy concepts and messages? I mean, social media is very wide. I'm sure there are doubters, there are haters. So
Yeah.
have you faced any sort of challenges that affected you with regard to the way you post or the way you send your messages out there?
Yeah, I think there would be two types. No? Internally, it's you work so hard on a piece of content, you think it's gonna do really well, and then wah, lugi siya. So it becomes very difficult to keep going if you have no idea, like you have no control, what will be viral, what will actually get picked up. No, but for me, I think what really helped was just to remember why am I doing it. Which is essentially just to really help, to educate, initially to help just clients and then realize to help others on it. No? So that would be the internal one. But the external risk would definitely be, there are a lot of scammers, a lot of fake accounts who literally use my face and DM people. So that was, it's quite disheartening that people do that, but I think all the more it's pushed me to, okay, we have to make sure that we're pushing our message out even better. So we can kind of overshadow all of the fake scammers and all these people who are just, using this platform for bad means, essentially.
Okay, so very important, no? You have to be intrinsically motivated, and you have to have that drive to share whatever knowledge that you have to provide better information out there. So
Yeah.
let's give a warm round of applause once again to Enrique for.
Yes.
If you don't follow him on TikTok yet, I suggest you follow him on TikTok.
Yes, and it really runs in the blood, of course. Miss Rose, a content creator herself also. So do you have any insights to share, Miss Rose, on what is it like as a parent? What are some of the skills and knowledge that you think kids should be equipped with to navigate financial challenges and opportunities in the future? And how do you make sure that children have these skills? Because most of the time, right, we hear that financial literacy should be taught in schools, but we don't often talk about how financial literacy should be taught at the first school, which is the home, right? So what are your thoughts on how to make long-term financial literacy lessons happen?
Can I just let my pudding do the talking?
Of course.
Sit back and relax. No, really. Yeah, I really believe that right from the start, and our homes are very important, no? So what parents should be doing is to create an environment that makes it difficult for your children not to have a high FQ. So it's really environmental. You know that our environment, the effect of our environment is so much more than we actually acknowledge. So I don't know if anyone here has watched that Netflix series, Live to 100, The Secrets of the Blue Zone. So there are 5 places in the world with the highest number of centenarians. And when they had a very in-depth study, it was not so much because I want to live up to 100, I'll go to the gym. No gyms there. But it's because of the environment. There's no fast food. They have to do a lot of walking. And that is what my husband and I tried to do, no? We tried to make the design of our home, our parenting, such that wala silang choice. They didn't have any choice but to save at least 20% of their allowance. They didn't have any choice but to prepare their balance sheet and show it to mama every quarter.
Wow.
So things like that. And it doesn't have to be my own style, but your own. But really, really put it in mind that you have to make it easy. You have to make it easy. Another example that I remember is when, going back to the brushing of teeth, no? Sometimes when they get carried away playing after dinner, and I was quite strict with their sleeping time, no? 8 o'clock, 8:30.
Something like that, yeah.
So when I would tell them to brush their teeth, I would give them choices that are both good. Will you brush your teeth now or after 15 minutes? I never said anything like, will you brush your teeth now or what? Because they might choose the or what. So let's be very careful with the choices that we make available to our children. And that goes for junk food, homework time, etc.
That's amazing. And the tips that you shared today makes it so much easier for the parents here in the audience, I'm sure, to think of what they can apply for their own style. Is that right? Can we have a show of hands? Who in the audience are parents here? Can we have a show of hands? See? So much influence. Yeah, most are. And so can for the parents who have questions, can you keep raising your hand if you have questions?
And we have a
But
question.
if you have any more, some of you may be shy to approach the
I think we have
aisles.
a question.
And now we have a question.
Hi.
Hello, welcome.
Good morning. By the way, firstly, I'd like to say hi to Ma'am Rose and Enrique because
Can we get your name, sir, please?
my name
And-
is Keith
Yes.
from the Bangko Central South Luzon Regional Office. First, I have 2 things. Firstly is to commend the presentation because as a parent who is raising also 17-year-old and 14-year-old boys, actually I'm kind of just have to tweak some of the steps because I think I got the first step right when opening a bank account when they were born. But I haven't heard of the FU test before, so that's our assignment. Me and my wife, that's our first assignment. So yun muna po. And I see a lot of good things that needs to be that can be applied in our parenting because of all the roles that we are playing, I believe that parenting is the role that is very difficult to play with. Not necessarily play, to perform because parang wala atang best channel and best formula for being a parent. That's the first one, just to appreciate and show my appreciation to the presentation. The second one is I'm looking into the steps, ma'am, and as a lecturer also of financial literacy in the rural areas and marginalized sectors and all this stuff. I just wondering on how can this be more relevant also to the people not on the same boat as we are now, because I can very much relate to that, because the situations that we have somewhat near to we are on the same boat, but if the situations, especially the cutting of the umbilical cord, because as a Filipino, and for those who are on a different spectrum of the society, parang hirap yung pag-cut ng umbilical cord from the parents to the children. And it translates to the lifestyle and to the reason and the well-beings that they are now. So I'm just curious on how it can be more relevant also, teaching it to the marginalized ones, to the persons in the rural areas, in the, if you know what I mean po. That's it.
Yeah, so I think it all starts again with the first basic law, which is to pay yourself first. No matter what your earnings are, there is really no other way but to always be very regular about the saving, no? And when you're able to do that, kasi yun nga, yung kanina sinabi ni Paulo Tibig, yung may pero, there's always a reason eh. That's why it has to be designed already. And if I may share, even for our helpers, syempre no, kung sino pa bang mas mababang sweldo dun sa ano na yan. But because I also tell them that it is good for them, I tell them that this is the design of your salary. A percentage really goes to your savings already. And we also do that for our own employees. So there is no other way. You cannot skip that. And then regarding the cutting of financial umbilical cord, when you're able to do that first step, it's going to be easier. And of course, as they grow older, you have to already prompt them. You have to warn them. Like, we warned our boys that when they get married, they will be paying for their own wedding. It's just that that was our family value. I'm not saying that everybody should just let their sons pay for their wedding. But it's because my husband did it, and it was with so much pride. So whatever you know as parents that worked well for you, that's what you also pass on to your children. So maliit pa sila, sinasabihan na, if you're gonna get married, you're gonna pay. And there can only be one queen in the family, in the household, right?
Yeah.
So again, it also depends on your own family values. You have to be very clear on that. We have this thing called we have a year-ender, Enrique, di ba? We go to a place every New Year, after Christmas, before New Year, and we discuss all of this. So these are our values, these are our goals for the coming year. Yung ganon, we're a little bit more deliberate siguro, pero hindi naman kami nerdy. Fun pa rin naman kami, and spontaneous people in general.
But that's a very good practice to have at the end of the year, right? Just a review of this is what our family stands for, these are our goals. Keith, did you have a follow-up?
No, I'm taking the suggestion po, and thank you very much for this opportunity.
Good luck.
Wonderful.
I think we have another question.
Enjoy your first family December fin plan. Yes.
Good morning.
Good morning, sir.
Morning.
Assistant Secretary Benny Legaspi ng Department of Migrant Workers. Isa lang po ang tatanungin ko kasi nasa isang bahay po kayo eh. Di ba napakadali na i-guide yung pamilya? What about doon sa mga ang parents ay nasa abroad at naiwan dito yung pamilya? Paano po natin ma-apply yung concept nyo? Kasi ito po yung kailangan natin eh. Yung mga naiiwan dito sa Pilipinas, nag-abroad yung pamilya, paano natin ma-encourage o mai-apply yung konsepto po ninyo? Maraming salamat po.
Oo, totoo pong napakahirap pag hindi kayo magkasama. But we are also lucky and we can make use of technology. Diba, kadamihan ng mga yon nag-FaceTime, nag-Zoom, o ano pa bang mga platform na nandyan. And all the more important na magkakaroon na talaga ng struktura, the structure. I remember when my youngest was already in college, syempre, he will have challenges to keep at least 20%. So what we did is already the deposit of the allowance goes to two accounts, his ATM and his investment account. So think of such ways how you will be able to make it easier for them such that it is the default design.
Yeah, I guess just to add na lang, no? Kasi meron din kaming clients ng OFW. Yung ginagawa kasi nila is, let's say, yung papadala nilang per month no, for the expenses, nakahati na siya eh. Yung portion na pang savings and investment, diretso na siya sa investment account, hindi na napupunta sa savings account ng pamilya nila. Para talagang wala lang choice. Kung gusto nila mag-withdraw, kailangan nilang kunin yung signature ng OFW para talagang mangyayari yung pagsisave at pag-invest.
Pinahirapan. That's the thing, right? It's a recurring theme from our discussion, right? You make it difficult to stray, right? From bad behavior. There's a big emphasis on what you design becomes what you decide, and what you decide becomes your identity.
We call that choice architecture in behavioral economics. So, parents, you are such great and very influential choice architects when it comes to the raising your children. So, can you go home today and really observe, ano bang structure, ano bang design ng bahay, ng pamumuhay namin?
Yeah, and just to add, I think you could make it fun also, make games out of it. For example, for us growing up, it would always be a game. No, like, okay, we paid na for the restaurant bill, okay, magkano? And then we'd guess, like, how much is it exactly? Siyempre, the winner is the one who's closest to it. So then, as kids, parang medyo nagigets mo na, okay, ganun pala kamahal yun. Kailangan mo na pala mag-save and invest kung gusto ko.
Even sa groceries, di ba?
Even sa groceries,
If they would
yeah.
join me
Yeah.
doing the groceries, there would be a guessing game. What's our total? So there's an awareness already how much it costs
Yeah.
to really raise a family para hindi mag-asawa agad na hindi ready.
Very clever, but very fun.
That's a very interesting game, no? It gives the children the awareness on how to value money at an early age. So they know that for us to buy this stuff, we have to spend this much. That's very interesting activity, and
Yeah.
I'm sure a lot of us here would be implementing that in our own
Pati
households.
sa pag nagda-dine out, lunch out kami, alam nila yung price ng drinks, mataas eh, di ba? So if you don't order drinks, I will just ask for the water, which is the healthiest drink. It's a significant difference in the total bill, right? So you are
It is.
very aware of that, di ba?
Yeah, growing up.
Kaya pala water lang ang dinala ni Enrique today.
Yun nga, kasi wala akong dala ngayon.
Thank you so much. So we are wrapping up unless we have any final questions.
I think we have time for one more.
Okay.
Just
Yes. We are much warmed up. So we... Yes, go ahead.
I'm here. You probably can't see me, but I'm here. I'm here. Okay, hindi na ako tatangkad. So, ganito na yun talaga. I was very interested with the talks. I am also interested in what would you think be a good innovation for the financial education partners who are here? We're always looking for good programs. This innovation could use behavioral modification strategies, what you've learned about, what you do, Rose and Enrique. What would be a nice way to level up our financial education programs? Because as we all know, the information's great, it opens the door, but you have to create a system so that people actually change their behavior.
So my approach is really that, no? It's education plus application. Always, all the time. Because, that meta-analysis study shows nga that financial education does not work. It's 0.1% lang if it is just education. That's why all our initiatives should have an application that follows through. So it could be in the form of, yun nga, no, my FQ test, you can take that at first sa umpisa so that you know where you are. And then we always tell them, take it again 6 months after so you can see where you improved after you doing all the tweaks that you've learned, after applying everything that you've learned.
Yeah, I'll just add very quickly. I think ultimately, after the lesson, there has to be an accountability. Whether it's a co-classmate, husband and wife, a friend. And that's the only time where the lesson can really come out. If you actually have to show this other person or tell this other person, yes, I've done it, yes, I've saved, and have that person also do the same thing so you're both learning together. I think that one, having that, whether it's a class, a group setting, etc., if you could create that accountability system that you don't have to necessarily do, but they can do themselves, I think that'll help big time.
And if there's just one thing that you can do right now, if you are an employer, head of the family, etc., automate their saving and investing already. Parang it's there already. Make the default work for everybody. So if you're an employer, you give them that talk. And then you tell them what the importance of this is. You know, in our household, it really gives our helpers pride that they do not have to make bale because they have an emergency fund. So when they ask me, ate, kailangan po ng nanay ko ng ganito, okay, no questions asked because she's not borrowing from me. She's just accessing her emergency fund.
Wow, that's so powerful. Really so much to be learned in the household. So thank you so much to
Thank you so
Miss
much
Rose and to
to Miss
Enrique
Rose
for
and Sir
gracing.
Enrique.
So before this used to be the FinEd Expo, right? But I think because of their lessons today, we can now call it the Financial Education, Application, and Accountability Congress.
Correct.
Let's give the Faustos a big hand,
Round of
everyone.
applause, please.
Thank you all so
Maraming
much.
salamat po. Have a
Thank
good
you.
lunch, everyone.
Thank you all so much. So very many lessons for us this afternoon. We also learned that a reminder for our parents that your children are not your retirement plans. And conversely for our children, your parents are not your emergency fund.